Well, hello, diet disruptors. Carrie here, and I love these kinds of episodes. Everybody, if you are tuning in, say hello to me and say hello to Christy. Christy Paulman is with us today. She is a diet disruptor, and she's telling a different story than she was when she first started working with us. Christy, hi. I'm so happy that you're here.
Hi, Carrie. Great to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
I am so excited to have you here. So, Christy,
Yes,
you're telling a different story these days than when we first met. Am I right?
I am telling a very different story than 6+ months ago when I first joined Disruptive Nutrition. Absolutely.
So, talk to us about your story when you came
Sure.
on board, right? When, like, what
Sure.
really made you decide I gotta do this?
Yeah, well, it's been years of roller coaster dieting, right? It has, I am one of those people who have been on every single diet since I was in my teens until now I'm in my midlife and won't even mention how old I am. But, when you hit a certain age as women, some of those diets just don't work for you anymore. And for me, the deprivation and being on that roller coaster just was not working for me anymore. And I had a friend of mine who is also a diet disruptor, Donna Lamb, who started your program. She did the 4 weeks to wellness and the 12-week trifecta back, I think, in March or so of
Mhm.
last year. And she says, "Hey, girl, listen." She's like, "You're already doing a lot of this food stuff, but I think you could really incorporate this lifestyle pretty easily." And that's when she shared the information, and I got on one of the informational calls, and I have been a changed woman for the past 6+ months being on this program. Absolutely.
Oh, that
Absolutely.
is so awesome. I mean, when we think about like how many diets we've been on and all of those things, and we think that they worked, in all reality, it just kept slowing you down. You know what I mean? And then you got
Yes.
to that point where you're like, there's nothing else I can do right now.
Right, right, right. And I am a person who works out, like I am consistently working out, constantly. I was working out with a trainer 5 days a week, almost 2 hours a day, doing, an hour with him, spin class. I mean, and the weight was just not coming off for me.
That's a
Um,
great point, Christy, because
yes,
when we think about diets and how we deprive ourselves, and I keep saying that's not going to work, but when we
yes,
overwork out and we don't feel correctly, you're
yes,
putting your body in so much more stress that it's going to hold on. And you must have been like, what the heck? I am working out
yes,
like tons and not losing
yes.
weight.
Right. Right. And I got to that point that I was so frustrated. What do? You think, oh, here's something else. Is this going to work or is it not going to work? And when I first spoke to yourself and coach Michelle, I was very skeptical. If you remember in the beginning, I was like, here's yet another one of those diets. And absolutely, this is not a diet for me. This is a lifestyle. And just being part of the program and still having the support of you. I mean, you are the sunshine, the coaches are
Oh,
sunshine. Like if I'm down or, I need a little pick me up, I just go on the app and I pull up a coaching call. I try to join as many of your calls on Fridays, as I can, just to get that kick, that inspiration. Going out on the portal and being on the Facebook page, etc. I mean, that level of support is just really great. And for me, it has become a lifestyle.
so say more about that because I'd love to know, like, what does life look like now compared to what it looked
Mhm.
like when you were chasing this diet, chasing the dream in a way?
Sure. I mean, I was on, like I said, a ton of different programs, and you're constantly buying frozen dinners and, you're eating out and you're like, well, what could I have? Oh, I could have a small hamburger and, fries and, a micro shake or whatever. Um,
And
and,
counting
and there
calories, are you like counting and tracking
counting
and all that stuff?
calories, counting points, wasn't really counting your macronutrients, right? You were just and always focused on calories, right? And if you ate say, 100 calories over where you're supposed to be, I felt for me being a 1 in the Enneagram and learning
Yes,
that,
girl.
I am a perfectionist, right? So I have to be perfect. And if I went off a little bit, it would blow my whole day or my whole week.
So
Right? You
how
gotta
how is that
understand,
different now? How is that different now? Like the obsession about that kind of stuff.
because I could reset in 3 hours.
Hmm.
So if I have a, what we call in the lifestyle a red meal, well, okay, guess what? In 3 hours, I just reset.
Have
It's
another
not going to take
meal.
me a day. It's not going to take me a week. It's not going to take me a month. And I used to be an everyday scale person.
Mm.
Now, yeah, yeah. Now I have, the only time I've gotten on a scale was the first of the year just to say, where am I? But that scale has not been touched since. So I have tried not to look at it. My trainer did my measurements again at the first of the year, and that's when I jumped on the scale.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to look. I was like, don't show me. So he had me, turn around. But of course, he wrote it down, so I saw it. But it's
But
something I don't need in my life.
well, that's the biggest part because the number like dictates our happiness.
Yes.
Now, let's be clear, we're not saying that you're not losing weight and losing inches and continuously progressing. So tell us a little bit about your progress because you were working out like crazy before, not seeing any progress. You're
Right.
6 months in. Where are you?
Yeah, yeah. So I've actually cut down with the trainer to 3 days a week.
Nice.
And in between, I'm doing more like stretching and yoga and Pilates, or going outside and taking a walk. I'm doing less strenuous on those, on those alternate days with the
Mhm.
trainer, because, even talking to the coach and to you, you're like, you're overtraining maybe a little bit too much.
Mhm.
And for me now, like, I have lost a lot of inches. I feel great in my clothes. I am gaining a lot of muscle, and I think that's from balancing that protein, the fats and the carbs, right? And it's getting the right nutrients in your body. And now I am less bloated. I feel leaner. I am not at my ideal goals yet, but I don't expect to be, because this is a journey, right? And as a matter of fact, we talk about it, but this is my little journal that I keep. And I write down, and I'll just share, like, I wrote down, and, my reflections, my intentions, and my affirmations every day. That
I
is
love
part of
it.
my morning routine. And I pull this out and I just say, hey, this is what I intend to do today. And I do my monthly planner, which is great. What do I intend to do this month? And you're so right when you say, well, you're monitoring your progress, and those little steps over time keep adding up, and I feel great. I sleep like a rock. I mean, let's talk about the other benefits besides
Mhm.
weight loss. I'm doing the 4 weeks to wellness again. And I am
So am I. We're
sleeping.
doing it together.
Yes. And I am sleeping like a baby. I mean, I am just like a rock and out and less bloated, upping my water all the time. I have water next to me, 24/7.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I think that this is where, to me, things are so different. So, part of what, like, I call it the trifecta: body, mind, and sustainability. And
yeah.
you're so coachable, and you have been literally following directions.
Mhm.
That journaling, some people are like, oh, well, I don't know if I really need to do that. It's about being intentional. And
Yes.
we teach you how to really manage your time, and so that your time doesn't manage you, and that you are in control. You work full time, one of the busiest jobs there could ever be. And
Right.
yet you're making this work and prioritizing yourself. Do you feel like you have less time since you started doing this, or do you feel like you're in control of your time?
Oh, I'm totally in control of my time. I've always been a planner,
Yeah.
of my day, and
Mhm.
and I even plan out, I have reminders on my phone of when to eat, and all of those things, because I'm just that type of person. But I feel that now that I take that time in the morning just to set my intentions, or that time in the beginning of the month to sit down and say, this is what I want to accomplish this month. And like you, and I've heard you say this, you check things off. I
Yeah.
check things off, and I have those intentions right up in my kitchen, and I
Yeah.
put those monthly intentions up, and I keep the food list up, and just those things to remind you, hey, you need to stay on course, and it's small progress over time.
Yeah,
You know,
it's awesome.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and here's the thing, like people
Mhm.
sometimes wonder, they're just tell me what to eat. Just tell me what to eat and I'll do it.
Yeah,
Why is that not the answer?
because it's just more that, I mean, it is more than that. It's your mindset, right? When you think about it, the food is just what you're, putting in your body and what's nurturing your body. But you talk about it, what nurtures your soul? What
Mhm.
is nurturing you as a person? And as women, we all have all those plates spinning that we talk about, some more than others, right? Some have more family commitments, some have more work commitments, etc. We're managing our stress, we're managing our time, we're managing our households. I just feel that, it's not just the food, because we could have that list, but you really have to look at what are your patterns, what are your habits, what makes you eat certain things? Like, when are you craving chocolate chip cookies?
And
When are you
why, right?
right? When are you craving macaroni and cheese, or, ooey gooey food? And the thing that you've taught me, and the coaches are, is that serving my body?
Mhm.
And is this just, hey, this is going to be, hey, this is going to satisfy me for the next 5 minutes, but what happens after that?
Mhm.
Then I feel guilty, right? Oh, I just ate that big piece of cake.
Mhm.
Well, what was it for?
Mhm.
And over time, I have found, as you eat healthier, you lose that taste for the sugar, especially the sugar. For me, you lose that
Yeah.
taste.
Especially when you're
But
balancing your PFCs. Because when you're
yes,
doing both, and that's what so many people don't understand, is just eating healthy. Well, then healthy is binary too. It's like good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, right? But
yeah,
like we know how to balance the cake.
mm-hmm,
We know how to have the
yes,
cake. We know how to
yes,
have the ooey gooey macaroni and cheese,
of
right?
course,
And
of course,
and that and without the guilt. You're
yes,
not on or off. You're just
no,
living and it's fluid. And I think that was huge for me.
yes, yeah. And as long as you balance that out, your PFCs, you're good, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, well, maybe it was a yellow meal, maybe it was a little bit over because it was all of that, but guess what? In 3 hours, you reset, you do something else,
Yeah,
you're back on track. So
exactly.
I think that's what's really important for
Yeah,
people.
there's so much behavior and emotion for us around
Mhm.
food. And we often put ourselves last when life gets crazy. And so,
Yes,
by really understanding more about intentionality, time management, being able to understand our triggers, we're going to
yeah,
be able to then do this forever. I always say it's like, I don't go to bed without brushing my teeth, even if I don't want to. I don't have to be motivated to brush
yeah.
my teeth at night. I just do it. And that's where we want to get to. That motivation is not the strategy that we rely on, that it's just part of who we are.
Well, it's the intentionality, right? And
Yeah.
it's the habit. And you speak about that, right? And for me, like most people on the program, Sunday's my prep day, my meal
Yeah.
prep day.
Yeah.
So Saturday, I go to the gym in the morning, but before that, it's automatic. I take that pad out, I look, I go on the recipe vault, because you know me, I like to cook. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
okay, what new recipes can I try this week? And I do some of the steady Eddie stuff that I like. And then I go, oh, well, I got to pick at least one new recipe. So I write my list down. And after I go to the gym, and then I go to do my grocery shopping and everything, then I'm ready for Sunday. I'm
It's
ready for my
amazing.
meal prep.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
everybody does it differently. And I love that because like I don't even do that much meal prep. Sundays I don't. I
Okay.
just make sure I have the right food in the fridge.
Yeah.
And like I'll throw potatoes in, sweet potatoes in, and I'll throw chicken in. But like I'm not like prepping that much stuff. Deb will prep for like 2, 3 hours.
Yeah.
I love that however your lifestyle is what it works. But I
Right.
also love what you just said. You have your steady eddies for your recipes in the recipe vault.
Yeah.
And then you always add, would you always add like a new one here and there?
Yeah, I do. I do. Every week I try to at least try one new recipe. Like I tried the Mongolian chicken, the Mongolian beef.
I saw you posted about that. It's so good.
That's one of my new
Oh,
faves. One of my new favorites.
when we had
Yes.
it, my husband was like, we would have gone out to a restaurant. The four of us would have gotten this. We would have
Yes.
spent over $100 and we would have thought
Oh,
it was one of the best meals we ever had.
absolutely. It was
And it wasn't even
fantastic.
hard.
No, no, not at all. Not at all.
So
And the funny part is I had all the ingredients except for the steak. That's the only thing I had to get. I had everything in the house.
I think so. Those of you that are in our recipe subscription, you might see a lot of ingredients and think, oh, there's a lot here. But honestly, they're
No,
staples. They start to become
they are.
staples and you end up having most of it in your fridge or in your,
You
in your,
do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
do. You do. Yeah.
So Christy, let's just talk about the fact that how, like, as you're kind of thinking about the fact that this is a lifestyle now you still engage in our membership group. You're still cultivating this relationship. I call it like a marriage between you and your body. You don't just get married and go on the honeymoon and then think that's it, right? You continue to cultivate it. So what are the things that you're doing to make sure that you're sticking with this, right? Like, we like, I always say, when you know you can do, but let's be honest, there's a lot of times we say, I know what I need to do, I just don't do it, right? How are you making sure that you're going to be able to stick with this lifestyle forever?
Well, I really call it going back to the basics, because something over time, sometimes you slip in what you're doing, and with the 4 weeks to wellness, that's my reset button. To say, okay, I have to, go back to the basics, and some of the grab and goes are a little bit more simple. I'll go back into the portal and start looking at the calls, right?
Yeah.
So there's the series that's in there, and hey, day one, you look at this. And so I'll start to do those again. I'll engage more in the coaching calls that we talked about. I'll listen to some of the guest coaching calls. I do like the book studies. I did the Enneagram one, right? So it's
good,
just,
right?
Yeah, so good. And you learn so much about yourself.
And I love that by staying in the membership group, you can keep dipping your toe in. And then when, if you're out, but you're always right there. We're always right there for you. And that's
always right
like
there.
Date nights for yourself to keep that relationship.
It is. And even something as crazy as you're sitting at the doctor's office. Well, I'll just grab my cell phone and put in my earphones, and I'll just, my earbuds, and I'll listen to one of your podcasts. Or I'll just watch a video and just to have that time to reconnect, because I'm not alone in this, right? And you don't feel isolated when you're in the program and engaging with people who are very similar to you and going through the same life struggles.
I love this, because this is exactly what it means to tell a new story. 6 months ago, this was not what we were talking about.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Frustration, skepticism, a little bit of hopelessness, and yet you were working your butt off. You were working your butt off. And I love how we have helped you to kind of work smarter, not harder. And you're actually taking a break from some of the strenuous stuff.
I am.
I love that. I love that. You are just inspirational. And I knew people needed to meet you. So I want people to put in the comments something that Christy said that you're taking away, that you're like, yes. And something that you're going to do as a result of what you're hearing from her. My whole thing is, when we understand something and know something, it's like a passion to me that everybody else has to know it. Right.
Yeah.
And so your story is what you have to tell.
Absolutely.
You might not be fully where you want to be yet, but you are steps ahead of where so many people wish they could be. Right?
Exactly.
And how fast 6 months goes.
Well, and that's the thing, you learn that you're on a journey, right? It's not, you don't have that old mindset of, well, if I don't lose 5 pounds this week, I'm done kind of thing. Because you're not doing that. You're doing, okay, this is just going to be better for my life. This is just going to set me in a better mindset and a better journey. It's just about growth and development and community, I think, and learning the proper nutrition and learning what to do and what not to do.
Yeah. And then when you start fueling your body and not counting calories and all that nonsense, you actually start making progress.
Absolutely.
And start seeing that.
Yes.
So it started off for you as a phone call with a coach, and that's what we want people to be able to have the opportunity to do. We aren't just fitting people into a program and say, you have to do this in order to make it work. We want to know about your life. We want to know about your struggles. We want to know about your needs. We want to know about financially what you have in front of you that you can invest. All of that, we work together and say that there's a place for you no matter where you are in your journey. So like Christy did, even though she was skeptical and frustrated, she got on a call and just figured out, okay, this is going to work for me. This is what I can do. And this is what I'm willing to kind of put forward. And so Christy, I think you can just be inspiring for other people to be able to take that next step too.
Absolutely. It was just that phone call, and it has been life-changing for sure for me.
I
So,
love it. Girl, you're amazing. I know you are
thank you.
busy and probably have a
Yes,
million meetings that you need to get to. So
I
thank you.
do.
Thank you. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes. And thank you for all the support and the love and the guidance. And it's going to be a great 2022. So,
I totally agree. Christy, you rock. Thank you guys. Say thank you to Christy for being vulnerable, sharing her news story, and tell us what inspired.